Box office top 10. Now, we should say, I think Rob Peace and Starvaker.
Yes. These are outside the top 10. Yeah, Starvaker I reviewed last week, and you can find the review. I liked it very much. I mean, it's part of that kind of British folk horror tradition that includes things like Ennis Main. Rob Peace is a biographical drama from Stuart Ejiofor. He wrote and directed it. You remember before he had directed Boy Who Harnessed the Wind.
I do. Yes.
Yeah. He's a very good director. This is based on a book, The Short and Tragic Life of Robert Peace, and stars J. Wells, the Yale University molecular biochemist who turned to drug dealing to help his father, played by Stuart Ejiofor, who has been imprisoned for a crime which he pleads his innocence. This is apparently a fairly well-known story, but I knew nothing about it. And I think the film tells the story in a very compelling way. It's a story about people being trapped by their circumstance, their past, their environment. It's a very moving tale of a talented young man doing whatever is necessary to survive, to look after his parents, to outgrow his past, to attempt to create a better future. And it's also a story about how good people find themselves in bad places. There's been very little fanfare around it, but I thought it was very well directed, very good period detail, compelling drama. And I do think Stuart Ejiofor is shaping up as a really decent film director. Good for him.
Starvaker produced this email from Tom in Leicester. Having let Starvaker digest for a little while, I have to confess my current posture is that of being slightly deflated.
Right.
Throughout the runtime, there was something bothering me and I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I think it is lacking the presence of real to counterbalance the surreal. I never truly believed our two main protagonists as a couple. Their actions and dialogue were fitting with the theme of the movie. However, they felt they were there to progress the plot rather than being real characters that the plot was happening to. Other than the sister character, we have no normality to contrast with what's happening. So the abnormal starts to feel that it is expected for this kind of environment. That's not to say I don't think the performances were good, but my investment in the plot showing its hand rather than what happened to anyone in the film. Overall, I did enjoy my time watching Starvaker. I just wasn't delivered that killer bite that would get under my skin.
Okay, I mean, I didn't feel that way, but but it's very well expressed. I found that it was rooted in reality, and actually, for me, then this is a sort of thing about British folk horror. It all kind of stems from the earth upwards, and I thought it had a kind of reality in a similar way to Ben Wheatley's In the Earth, or of course Ennis Main. But obviously, responses are very personal. But I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I liked it more than that, I think.
Firebrand is at number 10.
Now, this is a new release I haven't seen. I am going to go and see this weekend, and so we will get a review of this next week.
Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith is at number 9.
Well, a weird thing is that I have rewatched Revenge of the Sith not so long ago, because one of the children had argued that it's actually a better film than it was given credit for. I remember there was a review of it when it came out, which said, "To the end we have back to the beginning we have come, wasted our time we have."
That's right.
And there are many things wrong with it, but the score is very, very good. And I do think that there are moments in it that are better than I gave it credit for at the time. I still don't think it's a masterpiece, but I think it may be, of the prequels, actually the least bad.
Inside Out 2 is at number 8, number 14 in America.
It's a great film, and it's doing brilliantly, and everybody appears to love it. And I think that it's found that sweet spot, hasn't it? It's absolutely found the sweet spot between young viewers sort of discovering the world for the first time, and older viewers like us just being amazed that they've managed to do it again. So, I don't have anything else to add to it other than clearly my reservations about it being too complex were completely misguided.
Number 7 is Blink Twice. It's number 8 in America,
which I really, really enjoyed, and I just thought it was a terrific piece of cinema. I think it's great that it's Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut, just straight out of the gate, a fully formed director, and I really enjoyed it. Yes, there's a touch of IR11, touch of Jordan Peele, touch of Glass Onion about it, but I think it's a really good film. It's got a really subversive satirical edge.
UK 6, US number 9 is Despicable Me 4.
But
so UK number 5 is Alien, Romulus, number 4 in America. So Tony in Liverpool, listener from the beginning. Hi, Mark and Simon. Mark is always telling us about the madness of the American rating system. So I don't know if you've seen this, but just wow. So he sent us a clip from YouTube. You may well have seen this, but it's worth just playing a little extract here.
Sunday, the Ridgely Theater in Fort Worth had the biggest day in its entire history. It sold more than The Godfather, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Superman, and Love Story. But the biggest surprise to theater employees is the number of parents bringing young children to see Alien. Did you know that this was an R-rated movie when you brought him?
Yes, we did.
Are you sorry you brought him?
Yes, I am.
Are you glad you saw it? Yeah.
We take him to see a lot of horror pictures and things like because we like horror movies. We're horror buffs, I guess.
Would you recommend to your little friends who are your age to go see it? No, I wouldn't.
Terrible.
Well,
you just head in hands despair at that.
Here's the thing. The American rating system is stupid and makes no sense at all. The R rating, which is the thing that, over here would generally be an X film, means no one under the age of 17 can go unless their parent takes them, which means anyone can see it. 10-year-olds were taken to see The Exorcist. When they finally figured out that this was a really stupid system, they introduced the NC-17, no children under 17. And that then became the kiss of death. So if you had an NC-17 movie, people would put them out unrated. The American rating system is completely stupid. And that is a perfect example of why it is. Parents use it as a babysitting. But, parents want to go and see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Actually, that probably wasn't even R-rated. That probably was unrated. But, they want to go and see Alien, so they just take the kids with because you can't get... It is a stupid system.
Yes.
Compare it to the BBFC. The BBFC have got their heads screwed on. You may disagree with some of their decisions, but they've got a sensible system that works. The American system is the strongest rating that they have is anyone can see it.
And when you have a stupid rating system, along with stupid parents who say, yeah, we like horror, so therefore we've brought our kid along... there'll be some payback somewhere along the line.
Anyway, number think?
Yes, number 4 in the UK, 2 in the States. Deadpool and Wolverine.
I just thought it was trash, but it's obviously popular trash, and it's done very well. It's taken a huge amount of money. Ugh.
UK number 3. It Ends With Us.
Which I thought was better than I had expected it to be. Yes, it's dealing with it's doing that thing about dealing with a dark subject, but dressing it up to look like it's a romantic movie, and then actually moving on to something which is much darker. I know there's been some criticism of it, and of her, but I actually thought it was pretty decently done, and I was impressed because I didn't really know what to expect from it, and I thought it was actually better than I'd expected.
Number 2 is The Greatest of All Time.
Now, this wasn't press screen. And again, what I'll try and do is I will try and catch this in the cinema next week. It's an Indian Tamil language science fiction film, one of the most expensive Indian films, starring one of India's highest paid actors. Apparently had very mixed reviews from people who've seen it. If anyone has seen it, write in and let us know. But as I said, it wasn't press screened here.
And the UK number 1 and the US number 1 is Beetlejuice.
So we didn't review this last week because last week was a pre-recorded show because there's been holidays. But so this is the super belated sequel to the horror comedy weirdie that put Tim Burton on the map. He'd previously done Pee-wee's Big Adventure, introduced most of us to Michael Keaton, who of course would go on to star in Tim Burton's Batman, and made a generational star of Winona Ryder. So she was Lydia Dietz in the original, this kind of goth girl. She reprises that role now she is a mother and psychic mediator who hosts Ghost House with Lydia Dietz. General Taker is Astrid, who is her daughter, who has now sort of taken on her mum's goth mantle. Catherine O'Hara is Delia, the stepmother and artist, who at the beginning has a show that goes wrong. Anyway, due to a sort of plot contrivance and a family tragedy, they all end up back at the old house. Here is a clip of Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara.
Astrid found this in the attic.
Ew. So,
every now and then I feel his presence, like he's lurking somewhere, just out of reach. But lately, I'm seeing him again. And I was really hoping this was all in my head, but now this.
Lydia, you need to take back your life from the hanger-oners, from this thing. Where's the obnoxious little goth girl who tormented me all those years ago? It's time to find her.
I think that's a great line. Anyway, so the cast also includes Justin Theroux as the yucky, touchy-feely but bullying boyfriend, Monica Bellucci as Beetlejuice's ex-wife, who is in pieces, literally, Willem Dafoe as a dead actor who thinks he's a cop, no talent, but great hair, very briefly Danny DeVito. The idea of a sequel dates back to the early 90s, but it was put on hold after Batman took off. This played at Venice just before it released, and it got pretty decent reviews. It's become a big financial hit. I liked it. I thought that it was great to see Michael Keaton back doing a role that was always one of his best. This kind of, the bio-exorcist in the terrible suit. If you remember in the first film, there's a great gag when he's asked for his credentials, and he says, "Well, I've seen The Exorcist 167 times, and it just keeps getting funnier." This may not be
funny how that would appeal to you.
I know. And also there's a head spin joke in this as well, which I really enjoyed. I mean, this may not be the original, but unlike the Ghostbusters reboots, this does, I think, have at least some of the charm of the original. I mean, some of that sort of ghoulish charm. And it is nicely ghoulish. One of the things they've done, which is quite smart, is there's kind of stop motion and claymation, and it's not just a CGI fest. There's quite a lot of physical stuff in it. There is nods to every single. There's a nod to It's Alive and a nod to Bride of Frankenstein and a bit of Train Spotting, I think, and Saturday Night Fever and Mario Bava, and in the sort of final movement, a very, very smart nod to Carrie, and they use the music of Pino Donaggio for Carrie's theme. I thought it was well done. There's a mad set piece in the third act which involves MacArthur Park, which I enjoyed not least because I've always thought that MacArthur Park was one of the most deranged songs ever made.
Yes,
and the fact
definitely.
that it's just absolutely bonkers. But it's kind of doing the banana boat sequence, but with MacArthur Park, and I thought it was fun. I thought it was ghoulish, and I enjoyed it, and I liked the amount of squishiness that there was in it. And hey, who knew that it was possible to revisit Beetlejuice and it actually be pretty good, as opposed to just doing the Ghostbusters Bill Murray? So yeah, thumbs up from me.
Every time you say Justin Theroux, in my head it goes, "Is it you?" Yeah, because that's how immersed I am in 70s glam, as I suspect you are. A less than enthusiastic email from David Hopkins. Simon and Mark, having had the joy of revisiting Edward Scissorhands in glorious IMAX recently, it was strangely disheartening to then watch Beetlejuice, confirmation that Tim Burton did his best work some decades ago and has moved from making films full of heart and emotion to empty self-parodies. What a strangely soulless affair Beetlejuice is, and what an annoying title for that matter. I think it's a very good title, actually, still. The design aesthetic looked good, but to what purpose? Two confused storylines which never quite met in the middle, the main cast obviously going through the motions, and some weirdly weak gags. A couple of new characters added some pep, Willem Dafoe in particular, but overall it looked like it was a lot more fun to make than it was to watch.
Okay. Well, as I said, responses are entirely personal. I don't think it's as good as the original, but because the original is Beetlejuice. But I thought it was, again, much better than I had expected it to be, particularly in the wake of the Ghostbusters reboots.